It's April 29th, 2024. I am at Joel Pearl, and it's time to get in the weeds on your Monday morning. The show also considered to be renamed A Manor of Fact, a tribute to MILF Manor.
All right.
I had other ideas. I don't want to go too heavy on the MILF part.
Should.
I know, but I mean, I thought about it and I was like, we gotta be a little subtle as the first few minutes of the show, and then we can really dig into the conversation. I don't know if that's really, is it a conversation that one has when discussing reality television of this genre? I don't know. Jeremy Lambert's here. Good morning.
Morning.
How we doing?
Joel, let me tell you, this was a fantastic weekend. Absolutely fantastic weekends. One of the best weekends ever. We had not only the Oklahoma City Thunder going up 3-0 against the New Orleans Pelicans. That's right, 3-0 on the verge of a sweep tonight, 8:30. I think we got regulated to NBA TNT, or not NBA TV, because like no one cares about the Thunder and the Pelicans matchup. They got to put Miami and Boston on TNT because that's been interesting. We're up 3-0 in the series, Joel. We're playing very well. Very excited. The Colorado Avalanche, got it right there. The All Hail Kale shirt, baby. Shout out to Denver Sports and my wife for buying this for me. But Denver Sports is who sells this shirt. Kale McCarr, highlight reel goal yesterday. 3-1 lead against the Jets in the series. So great sports weekend. Both my teams victorious on the sports weekend. And then the return of MILF Manor last night at 10 p.m. Eastern on TLC. The greatest show in television history. It was a good weekend, Joel. That's all that really happened. No idea what else happened. Who cares? Avs 3-1, Thunder 3-0, MILF Manor undefeated.
It's on TLC?
Yeah. You learn about MILFs, Joel. You learn what things like Rilfie stands for.
We're in the first 3 minutes, and I know what the F stands for, so we'll wait on that one.
Oh, I almost cursed. I watched myself. I almost said the S word. Chuck Taylor, like him. I almost said the S word.
Yeah. That's
Rilfie, Joel. Do you want to take a guess what it stands for?
Realtor, I'd like to, you know what?
Nope.
Really intuitive.
Room I'd like to F in. Rilfie.
Oh, it's not it's an I, not a Y at the end.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's they're in Canada this season, I heard.
We're thinking about putting a sign on our door, the wife and I, that says Rilfie. And then we got to come up when the kids ask, like, what does this stand for? We've got to come up with not what it actually stands for.
Yeah, you better start working on that.
Room I like to have fun in, children. That's what it stands for.
I just got a very large capital letter "we" from the anonymous ITW general manager.
Yeah, she's on board with this.
I don't know. There's a question mark and an exclamation point next to the "we," as if to wonder, what are we doing?
So they're in a hot tub last night, Joel. And the guy's like, he's a 21-year-old. I'm pretty sure Ross thinks the same thing. Ross Berman, shout out to him. He's fantastic.
He is fantastic.
Yeah. This guy's got to be a drug dealer. He's a 21-year-old event promoter. I'm pretty sure the event he promotes is cocaine. He's in the hot tub with this woman.
Of course.
And he's like, you got a very biteable butt. Can I bite your butt? And then he proceeds to bite her butt.
Bite her butt. That's what you do when you, yeah. Third time's a charm.
Liver, let me tell you, they don't do no bait and switches on this show. The things they were doing to the logo of Canada, Shawn Michaels wishes he took it this far in his feud against Bret Hart. He wishes. They're wearing Canadian Speedos, pouring maple syrup all over each other, licking it off, dick tapping over here, package feeling.
Hold on. Maple syrup is very sticky. Like, that doesn't come out easily.
Well, something was coming out easy on this show.
I guess when you put a bunch of children next to, anyway, it's just.
They poured maple syrup all over each other, and then the goal is to like scoop the maple syrup off the body and into a large honey jar. All right, that's the goal of this challenge. They call these things the challenge, the daily challenges. There's no rules. Yeah, there's no rules.
There's no head of household. There's no veto competition.
Oh no. So
there is. Okay.
Let me explain this to you, Joel.
Oh no.
There's 6 MILFs. And there's 5 guys. So then they draw cards on who gets to pull into the challenge. We're talking about MILF Manor, everybody. Don't care. I can curse. Who gives a fuck about wrestling right now? MILF Manor returned last night. So there's 6 women, 5 people, and then so Remorse Betrayal says Jeremy is torturing Joel with MILF Manor talk. So
I consider this an education for the record.
Yes. So what's funny about the worst of you torture is my wife was running errands this morning. It's like, oh, you got home just in time for me to torture Joel this morning. She's like, oh, you're going to bring out MILF Manor? I was like, yes, exactly. So 6 MILFs, 5 guys. So they're drawing cards to see who gets to compete in the challenge. And one person who draws the card draws the host. There's no actual host on this show. They receive text messages from anonymous, not general managers, just anonymous people who make it up as they go. It is so clearly made up as they are just proceeding along. So the horniest lady on the show draws the host card. All right. So technically, she doesn't.
Do they vote on who's the horniest, or is it like, how do we?
No. You could just tell she's the horniest. She's a former stripper. That doesn't make her the horniest.
Nope, it doesn't.
I'm not saying the strippers are the horniest. I'm saying she's the horniest because once everybody got there, her first words were, all right, when do we start making out? That makes her the horniest. It also makes her the horniest because she's the host, right? That just means she's supposed to stand there and just host things, okay? She doesn't do that. She gets in. She's over here as they're trying to do their challenge. She's going from guy to guy, licking all of the syrup. She's tongue kissing everybody. She's package tapping everybody. Okay. She's definitely the horniest. You watch the show. Her name's Barbie as well. Again, doesn't make her the horniest. I'm just throwing out more context for everybody. Their name's Barbie. She's a stripper. She's by far the horniest. So she can't win the challenge. She's the host. This other couple wins the challenge. And then they get a text message, Barbie, because you did such a great job as the host of this challenge, you also get a date. This shit's completely made up. Completely made up. And yet they give her the challenge victory as well. And she gets a date as well.
Wait,
it's
the
most
host?
absurd. Yeah, the host.
The host? What? Wait a minute.
That's what I'm saying. They make it up, Joel. They really make it up.
The points don't matter. This is whose MILF is it anyway?
Here's the big twist. The big twist, Joel. So you got these 5 MILFs, or you got the 5 guys, not New Japan. You
just
got
5
the 6, just 5 guys.
Just 5 guys. Okay.
It's just 5 guys for right now. You got the 6 MILFs.
Okay.
Guess who they bring in at the end of this episode, Joel?
The son of one of the MILFs?
No, they did that last season. They brought
it up. I remember that was a thing last season.
No.
Grandson of one of them.
No. Joel?
The ex-husband of one of the MILFs.
No.
Oh, no. A new MILF?
The dads, Joel. They bring in the dads of the 5 kids. One of these motherfuckers is on crutches. I don't know what he did to be on crutches, but he's crutching his ass in here and he's ready to fuck these moms.
I'm just having like, bring in the dads. And everyone is being like, do what now?
Oh, there is. Yes, Ryan Sullivan. The sons and the dads are competing for MILFs. There is a teaser for what's upcoming on the season. I hate watching that shit. My wife will tell you. I can't stand it. I earmuff myself. I close my eyes. I do so I can't hear anything. I don't like it. I watched the teaser for this though. There's a scene where one of the dads and one of the sons, the dad and the son, I should say, they're doing yoga tantra with one of the MILFs. Okay. They're in a weird position. They're in a tantric position. Then they cut. And this son, this is the drug dealer son, by the way. This is the 21-year-old, clearly deals cocaine. He's sitting on the couch, blank stare on his face. And he is simply asked, "Are you traumatized?" And he's like, "I think so." This whole show is a traumatic experience. It should not be legal. It's a reason why they tape it in Canada or Mexico, because they can't get away with it in America, and because it's also cheaper.
That's true. I'm going to break you, Jet Valley Driver. This season of MILF Manor, I just discovered, was filmed in Lake Simcoe, Ontario, not too far from us here in Toronto.
Can we get somebody from... And this is what I'm saying. This show so traumatizing that this 21-year-old event promoter, clearly a cocaine dealer, is having traumatic experience on it. That is the selling point.
TLC's Canadian lakefront chalet cost $4,643 per night. Insane.
It's the most amazing show of all time.
8 bedrooms, 7 bath, an hour from Toronto. Insanity.
And a room I'd like to fuck in.
That is something.
That's one of the bedrooms. The fuck room.
All right. Before we get completely golden dollar signed, leave a thumbs up on the video. I guess you got some fireworks to go with that. There you go.
A lot of fireworks in the MILF Manor.
A lot of fireworks in the MILF Manor. And if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please don't unsubscribe because of this. If anything, you should probably subscribe, because we have other shows that we do on this channel as well. Not just myself and Jeremy, but there's a lot of content that goes. Wrestling Made Me Cry was yesterday. Kylie and Auntie Collins are fantastic. You've got Rob and Maggie on Fridays. Indeed is on. They're still on Thursdays. Or they do Wednesdays. I never know.
Wednesdays.
But
They've always been Wednesdays. What are you
sometimes
talking
they do Thursdays. I don't know.
No,
We just drop stuff on Thursdays. We just drop spotlight interviews on Thursdays. That we do.
Typically, or in the weeds interviews, just
Oh,
random
that's right.
stuff on Thursdays.
Okay, so there's Thursday. So there you go. And we're here, and we do a lot of stuff. So if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please go ahead. If Busted Open can do 15 years, we can also get there. It's going to take a while, but we'll get there, Jeremy Lambert. If you haven't already, you want to donate a super chat, and email, get your question statement read on the air. And of course, it supports us here at Fightful Overbooked. Can we move on? Or are we still talking about the Manor?
No, what else is there to talk about? Nothing else important happened this weekend.
We're going to talk a little bit about wrestling.
That's dumb.
Well, we got the thumbnail stuff, but
These women in this manor, they're going to get some wrestling going.
They probably will. I hope they do something. Yeah. It's going to be good stuff. Before we continue on a serious note, we do want to send our love to Jean Ross Sapp. He lost his grandmother over the weekend. That was I know it's been very tough for him, but we want to send our love. We want to send our support. And of course, we joke with Sean. We have fun with Sean, and we want him to be okay. So sending our well wishes to him and to his family right now.
We love Sean Ross Sapp. Anything he needs, try to support him as best we can. It's always a tough time, and yeah, hearts go out to Sean and his family.
Absolutely. I can say this just because it happened to me when my dad passed. He was the first person to call me and not only offer condolences but offer support. So I will forever do the same if given that opportunity for anyone who needs it. So Sean was there for me. Going to be there for him as well. So we send our love, we send our everything to him. Wrestling. We got to talk about the wrestling a little bit.
Wow.
I know, right?
Can we talk about Kel McCarr's goal instead?
When's game 5?
Tomorrow, 9:30.
Oh, that's gonna suck so either Winnipeg fans are gonna be completely just
Winnipeg fans.
Well, you might come Wednesday because that's where Dynamite's gonna be, is in Winnipeg.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Because the whole Kenny's coming back thing.
Oh yeah.
So you're either gonna be super excited or super defeated. And I'm hoping for the latter for your sake, quite honestly.
What do you mean for my sake?
For yours, I'm hoping that the Winnipeg fans are not happy for your sake.
They'll have wrestling to cheer about. I'll get to make a funny joke of, Winnipeg hasn't seen a winner, in this building in a while. I don't know. I'll workshop it. It'll be better by Wednesday. Oh yeah, I forgot Dynamite was in Winnipeg. Well, whatever. Those fans are very good. I don't want to knock the fan base. They do the whiteout. It's always good. They brought a lot of energy. To the series. So it's a good fan base in Winnipeg. Sorry that we're going to hopefully beat them.
Well, speaking of a lot of energy, this guy's got a lot of it right now. So let's get him out of him. Cameron Hawkins is here. Good morning.
Good morning, gentlemen. How are you?
Oh, we're great. How are you doing, Mr.
Doing fantastic, man.
Cam.
Down. What's up, Jeremy?
Cam. Have you watched MILF Manor?
No. No, I've not watched this.
Why not?
What is this?
Well, I mean, it's exactly what it sounds like, Cam. Okay. They put 6 MILFs in a manor with 5 young men, and they try to allegedly date each other. They don't really date, but they attempt it. And the twist for this season. So last season, they're on their second season. Last season, they had the MILFs, and it was with their sons. So it was all the sons of the MILFs.
And they were just like, you date my mom, I date your mom?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
This season, it is 5, their sons. They have fathers, but it's not their sons. But the big twist is the fathers enter. So now it is father-son combos.
Like competing for the attention of a single woman who is somewhere between them or closer to the dad in age.
Yes.
Wow. That's television. Wow.
It's on TLC, Cam. It's a learning show. You learn.
Evidently, they I feel like you would learn a lot from that.
That's what we spent the first 17 minutes on. I don't know if you're here to talk about wrestling, but that's not what we're talking about today.
Yeah, my goodness.
What are we talking about? I mean, listen, I just said if you answer one or more NGL, I'm inviting you on this show.
Nah, man. I don't know, man. It's funny. We're still kind of, it's the end of April. I still feel like we're in the Mania wind down stage. Really, like the first one that I ever had, at this level was last year, because I was like, I was about 9 months or so like into the ringer, and it had just been story after story. And I'm doing interviews, I'm talking about live events, blah, 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 blah. And I remember I think I pitched something to Cal like right after Mania, and he was like, we're gotta slow down a little bit. And it was like, oh, like this thing really does work like it's seasonal, So I think I'm a bit more like mentally and energy wise equipped to handle it now. Like I don't feel the pressure to, I feel like there's pressure to try to be great. I think there was, and it was going and going and going. And then to understand like, there is kind of a cool off, and we can reset and figure out exactly the direction we want to go. So that's been interesting. And so we're looking for the next thing. Like I wanted to give it away. I was trying to get Mercedes for Dynasty. And of course, like she didn't wrestle at Dynasty, so that's why I think it didn't come together. Probably still want to try to do that for Double or Nothing. Got some ideas. So yeah, man, just work, trying to keep this thing going.
What's you kind of mentioned, and I picked up on this, the whole like not wanting to do a weekly podcast because you feel like you need to be interesting all the time.
Yeah.
I'm curious where your brain is when you get that idea, because you do a lot of writing, and know I told you this before. My introduction to you was stuff you did with Wade on post shows for the Torch. So I want to know where your mind is, because like I think it's been fact, like I think it's true, but what's kind of stopped you from doing more audio content?
Well, I mean, with me, I had a very good podcast that was gaining a lot of traction with my best friend before he passed away. And the biggest thing with that was you can't recreate like that level of communication and understanding and brotherhood. And I don't know if like even in the wrestling space, like when me and Rob were doing our thing, it was really, really cool. But I don't know if I match with anybody like that still. Like it was really a super unique thing. And so I really don't, I guess, have the desire to recreate that. You know what I mean? It's just but I tell you what, but I do love like doing the guest spot stuff. I love doing the guest spot stuff. Like, because again, I only have to be interesting for like 15 minutes at a time, right? When we first when I first got on with the Ringer, it was a lot of, oh wow, I followed you on social media, but now you have like a job in this thing. Tell me your whole life story. And I did that like 4 times. You know what I'm saying? So what's to really talk about? I think the rapport that you guys have, the way that you present the information, like you're doing news and opinion, but news, like you really are bringing new information to the table or going over like what's happened during the week. I'm not organized enough to like put that together 3 times a week. You know what I mean? I need a guy for that.
Can I tell you what my notes look like right now? Nothing.
What do they look like?
They literally, it's like the title of the show, the date, and then it says a manner of fact because I made a MILF Manor joke, and then everything else is just like ticks on the box, and there are no supplemental notes with that. That's just what it is.
I had a suitcase. There's a suitcase at my apartment where I keep like all my documents, I guess. Why do I keep them in a suitcase? Really don't know. But I opened it up and I found like cardstock printed out notes from like our old podcast. It's like South Congress episode 49. And it was just like a long list of stuff. And I'm like, I can't do that again. Like I don't have if anything, I've gotten lazy as I've gotten a little bit more notoriety. Like I want a guy to do that for me. I want it to be like, I want to be the guy who does the YouTube voiceovers, but just the voice. I didn't write it, just say some stuff, and then somebody slaps a really nice video behind it, and then they give me money for it. That's the goal.
That's the dream. I want that.
Man. No, I'm not. I want to be on-air talent. And then, with the writing, it's like that is really when I focus, when I buckle down, stream of consciousness, thinking of ideas, and that's really where it comes in. So, yeah, man, again, like, I don't want to be interesting that often. That takes a lot out of me, I think. And I have a bad habit of wearing my emotions on my face. You would see my disinterest the 3rd day. You would absolutely see it. It would be a lack of energy and interest. It's much easier to give bits and pieces via tweet, then come up with a big project, and then hide in my hole for a couple of weeks. So much easier.
So I notoriously stay offline more than I think people think I do. I tweet especially this weekend, hockey, basketball, MILF Manor tweets. I don't read anything else. I don't have time for it. But my wife is asking, is Cam on to talk about how he shredded racist idiots? I didn't see any of this. Yeah. I don't quite know what she's talking about, but what is going on here?
You know what the funny thing is? Like whenever stuff like this happens, people assume that you are upset or angry or emotional over a thing. And of course, like you can't convey emotion or lack of emotion via text, via screen, right? But like, I don't have like vitriol in my heart towards old white men in wrestling. I really don't. I just don't. I've always had a problem with like, why can't we call a thing a thing? Why can't we call something what it is, right? So it is, they post the thumbnail of, I guess, Cornette's latest episode, right?
Oh God.
And it's Swerve. It's what's Kyle's last name? ROH TV champ.
Oh, Kyle Fletcher.
Fletcher.
Talented kid, sweet kid too. He was at the the ROH press conference. The biggest grin you ever seen on a kid. He's so happy to be there and he works so hard. Really like him. He's a Q-tip and Cornette's a gorilla. And yeah, it's Swerve as Swerve. Kyle Fletcher as a Q-tip and Jim Cornette as a gorilla. And so I look at it and I just said, like, nah, I'm not doing this. Like, I don't need context to know this is not something that I want to see. Right. And then somehow that turns into,
oh, I see
like,
it. Oh.
Did you listen to the clip? Did you listen to the clip? I'm like, no, I'm not going to listen to the clip. I'm explaining to you that the imagery here makes me not want to listen to the clip. And people did not understand. And I just think things are so simple. Like, look, if I tell you I'm baking you a cake comes out the oven, the cake is all smushed up, you're probably not going to eat the cake because you don't like the presentation of the cake. Doesn't matter if the cake is good. You don't like the presentation of the cake. You don't like how the cake comes across. And, some guy was like, basically we had that conversation and I was like, hey, I'm not going to eat that. And I was playing two characters. I was like, hey, I'm not going to eat that. Then somebody would say, how can you consider yourself a food critic if you're not going to eat it because of how it looks? I said, I'm not a food critic. I'm somebody who's hungry who's not going to eat that. Like, it's not. I think what happens with somebody like a Jim Cornette, people become such fans of a personality and their ideas and their brain that they feel like you criticizing that person is you criticizing them as individuals. And, Jeremy, you know how it goes. I say a thing, somebody way less intelligent says a thing, then I get intelligent on them, and then everybody laughs at them. And somehow that makes me the bad guy. Like, I don't go out of my way to jump on people. You know what I mean? Like, I wasn't even like, Cornette's a racist old redneck idiot, and I would never. I said, no, this picture makes me not want to listen to the show. Completely don't understand what's controversial about that, right? But it turned into like a day-long thing. And it was just, the explanation is, well, I don't understand what's racist about a white man being a gorilla. And I'm like, guys, like, if we were in a meeting, if we were pitching a graphic for the show, there's no way that we would have a black man, a cotton swab, and a gorilla all in the same picture. If for no other reason, then you're not going to misconstrue this thing that I'm presenting if you attended one history class in college. Like, my degree's in English and African-American studies. I have every reason in the world to think that this imagery is racially tinged, at least. Right. And it just all day, Jeremy, it was, you're the real racist for thinking this is racist. And it's just like the most like ad hominem, baseless finger pointing tactics. And I said, like, look, I think we should, again, people are upset because they're saying that if you're calling him a racist, by extension, by proxy, you're calling me a racist. I said, no. I'm saying that you enjoy getting your information and entertainment from a racist. It's actually very American. There's probably a lot of racists whose art and entertainment that I enjoy. It happens, but I'm not offended by it. Like, there's the whole thing of like, oh, that's your man. No, it's fine. Like, you should not internalize my feelings towards Jim Cornette. There's literally no reason to. And then it turns into, well, you're telling people not to. Nope. Never told a single person not to listen to Jim Cornette. I have friends in real life that I don't talk to on the screen who listen to Jim Cornette's podcast. And you know what we talk about? Other shit. How are your kids doing? How's work? How's the wife? It's so not complicated. And then, what does it turn into? you don't like Jim Cornette because he doesn't like AEW, you AEW shill. When 4 days ago, I was getting NGLs about Chris LeGentle, who I've had one email conversation with in my life.
Shout out to the one person who in those replies said they found their boogeyman. They created a boogeyman because that's exactly what it was.
They created a boogeyman. And can we you guys want to talk about that for a second? Because enough about Jim Cornette. Like, and then somebody was like, Cornette's co-host buried you on the show, and Vince Russo buried you a few months back.
He did that to us too. Guess what happened? Nothing.
Why would I know? Why would I care? Like, there's also this thing where new media has a grudge against old wrestling media. Like, it's like, no, Vince Russo did some really cool shit back in the day. That's it. Jim Cornette is a very good wrestling mind and historian. That's it. I can say those things are true and show you your respect and not fuck with you. Like, I cannot do what Jim Cornette does. I don't have that type of memory. That's not my thought process. I don't think I have the imagination that Vince Russo had early on to help push this entertainment, this media, this art to what it is. I don't think that I have that. I don't think that Vince Russo or Jim Cornette can sit in front of a talent of today and communicate their story the way that I can. We do different things. I don't want a cult following me. Like, I don't want people online arguing the goodness and the greatness and the purity of the things that I make. No, I want to make dope shit. I want to hang out with my homies. I want to come home to my lady and drink some whiskey and go to the gym. Like, I don't desire to be a star in wrestling or even in wrestling media. Shit's cool when it's cool, but like, none of this is to. And then you're engagement baiting and you're doing this for attention. I can't just not like shit. Like,
people think of, like, because Cornette accomplished this, because Russo accomplished this, that their opinion means something in 2024. Like, okay, because they did this 30 years ago, that doesn't mean their opinion on what AEW is doing now holds a whole lot of weight. That was 30 years ago. And I'll relate this to, and Cam, you'll understand this, with like coaching. Just because a coach was a great player, Wayne Gretzky, greatest hockey player of all time, not that great of a coach.
Yeah.
Patrick Waugh, in my opinion, greatest goalie of all time, not that great. I saw this, you might have seen the same tweet this weekend, Cam. Darvin Ham. Somebody showed Darvin Ham highlights, and it's like dunks and all these athletic plays, and somebody's like, I knew he was gonna be a terrible coach because it's all athletic plays. You need a coach setting screens and beating people off baseline. Like,
it's all left hand dunks. It's all overhand left hand dunks, like the whole highlight reel. Yeah.
Like, don't give me a head coach where all of his highlight plays are all athleticism. Nah, I need that dude running off of screens. That's gonna make for a good head coach.
Yeah, but like, it's and then it turns into, well, Punk's a fan of Cornette and your man Dax is a fan of Cornette. I'm like, cool. Like, why would I have a problem with that? Like, listen, again, Dax Harwood, one of my favorite conversations ever in wrestling. Me and Dax Harwood have like certain things in common. Like, we were about the same age. We were in college at the same time. We graduated into a recession, and we had to figure it out, right? Like, it was promised to be one way, and Dax did his thing. Dax is still a white man from North Carolina, and he's going to have a white man from North Carolina sensibilities. Like, I live in Texas. I got a lot of white friends I don't agree with about how the world should work, but it's what it is. Like, I don't hold that against them at all. I just, again, people get wrapped up emotionally in these things because they look at some of these, not even the wrestlers, the wrestling media personalities. They look at them as heroes and avatars for the things they stand for. It's like, guys, it's entertainment. Like, I'm not emotional over it. And I think it's funny that you think I am, because there's real life to live. It doesn't make sense. But yeah, so Joel, Chris LeGentle. I
Well, by the way, the worst thing about Chris LeGentle isn't anything anyone's ever said. It's the fact that his name is LeGentil. He's French. Just own it. Own the last name, Chris. Own it. Your family wants that.
So I listened to that Voices of Wrestling podcast. Who are the two guys that host that? I'm always bad with names.
I don't know if it's still true. I assume it is, but Joe Lanza and Rich Craig.
Okay, great voices, great projection from those guys. They have the ability to communicate their information very effectively. I thought that while it presented WWE's PR structure, it felt irresponsible as hell, man. And the reason I say that, when you say this person or these two guys tell the media what to do, give me a second. I'm going to let the dogs out. Again, real life.
Is this a literal thing we're doing right now, or is this figurative?
It sounded like they were.
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah,
pretty sure.
There's this one squirrel she sees out there all the time that she goes crazy for. So
go chase the squirrel. Go have a good time.
Have a ball. So it was like, yeah, these guys they run PR with a metal closed fist, and no story gets out without them, and they're feeding blah 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 blah. And it's like, okay, let's just say all of that is true. Let's say it's 100% true. What the fuck does that have to do with Cam Hawkins at the Ringer? You know what I mean? Like,
you're the one who's being given all this information, clearly.
Yeah, but it's like, this is why it pissed me off, though. Like, it's very clear what I do. I text I text Greg Domino, or I text Danny Lambert at AEW. I shoot him a text. Hey, love to interview Jey Uso because we got Survivor Series coming up, right? And then they text me back, all right, I hit you back in a week. And then I talk to Jey Uso, and then after I talk to him, I look at the transcript and I get to typing. That comes out to a bunch of words that we talked about. I pass it up to the desk. I pass it to Cal. Cal edits it. We go back and forth a little bit. He passes it up to the desk. My man, Jay Bartlett, throws some art on it. Boom. It's on the Ringer site the next morning. Like, what I do is very clear and very straightforward. So when I'm getting NGLs like, heard about your man LeGentle, and somebody really said, like, if it's true what LeGentle does, you and your buddies are in trouble. And I'm like, guys, I don't understand the correlation. I don't mind anger. I don't mind confusion. I hate stupid. I really hate stupid. And like, whenever you see me really like get on somebody on Twitter, it's not because they're being mean to me. It's because they're being stupid. You're saying things that don't make sense. You're saying things that don't add up. You're putting words together that should never touch each other. And I really don't like you being a fucking idiot. And so, again, the reason it was irresponsible is because if you're talking about specific media outlets that are getting a story from WWE PR or whoever, you should probably talk about the story that's being given or what's being manipulated or how this information isn't true. Like, remember there was a whole thing with the Fast Nationals, right?
Yep.
So, if you're telling that story to an audience, if you know who was giving up Fast Nationals information to who, you should probably specify, because I should not be getting questions about like a branch of this thing that I don't touch. I don't report news. You know what I mean? I don't break story. Even though, you know, the one thing that I broke like 2 minutes before everybody else was like the Bad Bunny backlash story. And it's only because I was, remember how the Ringer broke, the Ringer, I think broke the War Games story, was it? I think when War Games first came back to the main roster, I think that's what it was, right?
That sounds right, yeah.
So basically, I think they were trying to do the same thing with Bad Bunny at Backlash. Thing is, my turnaround time is not like a day. You know what I mean? Like typically my turnaround time is 3 or 4 days. We got to go back and forth. We got to fact check. Like it goes to Cal. Cal shoots it up to another desk. If there's a disparity or issue, they shoot it back down and they go through the process again, right? So it was not enough time to do that. But that's like the one WWE piece of news that I had before anybody. When I say before anybody, like 5 minutes early. You know what I mean? Like it wasn't some story that nobody else had. So like, if you're going to say Nick Khan and Chris LeGentil basically rule with an iron fist and no story gets out unless they want it, and there's going to be, you know, the spin that they put, blah, 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 you got to say who they doing that with, because it was like they just kind of put out the idea that there's a boogeyman. And apparently he's under everybody's beds and he's in everybody's closet. And I'm like, guys, like what I do is very clear. There's no confusion to it. Interview wrestler, get a transcript, whip up some dope shit nobody else can do. That's what I do. That's the entire job. None of it is spinning a story or making making the company look. Oh, it's the evidence is there that that's not true. So like, yeah.
Oh, I find it strange that you, maybe strange is the wrong word, because you get a lot of, especially on the NGL stuff, a lot of questions that are stupid. But I find it strange that like this stuff is even directed at you, because I think anyone who follows you for 2 seconds knows that's not what you're doing. I assume it's largely because, oh, you're associated with the Ringer. The Ringer has an association with WWE. You must be part of all of this. But like when I think of news stuff, like I don't think you'll be offended by this, and I mean no offense by it. You are not the first name that I think of when it comes to that.
Again, it's not the job. And so I don't like, we're all, and you know, I know Sean is, I don't know if both of you guys are, like we're all on a WWE PR list. So when like tickets go on sale or they announce a location or anything like that, that's why you see all those emails pop up at the same time, because we get them at the same time. I do think AEW would be like well served to create one of those with like the same database.
I think they're going to be working on one very soon.
Yeah. And so, and again, it's not their fault, but this is how stuff like, oh, clearly you're in favor of WWE because you don't post the same amount of AEW. It's like, I gotta get the news. I got to get the news that they're giving to everybody. I'm not going to go find it because, again, like you said, Jeremy, that's not the job. It's just not what I do. So, but I also think I'm way too accessible. Like I do, you know, I like to go to the local shows. I like to, you know, I kick it with the wrestlers. Like there's no way around that. It is what I do, but it's not because I'm trying to weasel my way in like this one guy on stage at Wale Mania that we had to kick out. How did he get up there? Who, you don't know anybody. It was two guys. It was one like white guy who like clearly did not belong there, and another guy who showed up in a fur coat. And because he was in a fur coat, everybody thought he was somebody because of the fur coat. And then we realized nobody knew the guy in the fur coat, so we got him out of there too. But yeah, I think that you know, I'm very accessible, and when you're accessible, when you're willing to provide a soundbite or talk about something, I do think, you know, that leads a lot of dumb people my direction. But again, if it's true what they say about your boy LeGentil, me and Chris had one conversation, and because you know, I like to, even though I like to respond and be quippy, I also am like, hey, let me go through my email and see if I have talked to this guy. We had a conversation, and the conversation went like this. Hey, I'm Cameron Hawkins with The Ringer. Just wanted to see what I needed to do about my Royal Rumble credentials. He gets back to me. Hey, did your credentials come through? I said, yes, thank you. That was it. Like, again,
wow, you got credentialed.
Yeah, man. It is like, sometimes I wish that people who make these assumptions could like be around us for like a weekend and see how this thing really works. But then I'm like, oh, you would never make it in this room because you're a fucking idiot and you're awkward as hell. And the things that you assume prove that the things you would actually realize might break your brain. So we're probably all better off that way.
I want to tell a funny little story from my WWE. My first ever junket with WWE, and that was in February last year doing Elimination Chamber. We did the junket. It was in a hotel room because this was not planned. They decided at the last minute because it was Montreal and there was the Sami Zayn bloodline story that it was on the way to WrestleMania. This was big enough and it was a PLE in Montreal, so they decided to do media. So I went with my producer Tim, who does a lot of our assets on this show, and we set up in that hotel room, did our whole thing, and we were talking to the WWE PR guys, and there were a couple of other Canadian outlets who are also wrestling adjacent, and like they're good friends, good pals, love them to death, and we all looked at each other and we're like, we have tickets for the show for Elimination Chamber, but we don't have tickets for SmackDown. And we all just kind of looked at each other. We're like, what do we do? What do we do? And I said, maybe we should just ask if we can get tickets for SmackDown tonight because I know they're not sold out yet. And like everyone was like, oh, well, will they? And I was like, well, yeah, I mean, you ask. So we went up and they're just like, hey, what's the situation for SmackDown tonight? And they're like, what do you mean, what's the situation? I was like, are you guys doing any comp tickets? And they're like, well, do you want tickets? I said, yeah, of course. 4 of them. They're like, yeah, sure, no problem. What's your email? I'll send them to you now. You ask the question and you get the answer. And you're not bothering anyone by asking or just being part of the conversation, being part of the room. If they said no and been like, no, we're sold out, no comps, be like, all right, fine, I'll find my own way in. But instead it was just, they're not boogeymen. They're making it easy for you. The worst thing that can happen in these rooms is that they tell you to wrap it up because they got to keep moving along. Otherwise, they're just standing around doing their jobs. It's not hard.
My favorite thing, and these are they're private conversations. My favorite thing is when one of those accounts that a lot of people know, I'm not talking about just one, like multiple, one of those accounts on Twitter that talks about wrestling that everybody knows, but everybody kind of groans whenever they say something. Every time I've had like a back and forth or gotten into it with one of those, either the AEW PR or WWE PR have texted me also making fun of that person. Because again, these are like, they're guys, And I did actually, I had a conversation for the first time with, I think her name's Leah. She actually kind of conferenced my Seth Rollins call, right? But they're all just, well, no, Chi-Town Spurs, that's the thing. I'm not just talking about one person because it's multiple people. And it's just so funny because it's all funny to all of us who like are around each other in real life or really doing business with each other. It's all funny to us because there's just this made up perception of how all these things work. And that perception goes so far. Joel, Jeremy, they got online and said that WWE was clearly asking people to post their Royal Rumble credentials when they received them.
Oh yeah, no, totally. We all did that. Yeah, at the behest. Yeah.
It wasn't that they send these things out at the same time and excited people post things they're excited about online. It was the WWE specifically instructed people or even nudged them to post their credentials online. Why else would so many people be doing it at the same time? And it didn't occur to people that, hey, you got an email, you're excited about it, you post it. The same way people post news at the same time because they get it at the same time. The same way you retweet things when you see them.
It's so weird to me that they know, maybe they don't know, but this is how it works in like literally every sport. I can't tell you, and Cam, you probably speak to this as well. NBA, I have like a list of like my favorite NBA follows, and then also like a lot of top like news writers and everything. Somebody gets hurt. Somebody, the Damian Lillard Achilles injury ruled out. It is like 5 straight tweets of like Damian Lillard ruled out for game 4 with an Achilles injury. It's like, here's it from Shams, here's it from Woj, here's it from Chris Haynes. It's like, it's all the same report because it's just all sent to all of these guys and they all just post it. It literally works like this in every single sport. And they all post it at the same time because they all get it at the same time. And they're all there to inform their audience of this. But it always, it's hilarious to me when I see it all like this in a row. And I see it the same way with wrestling. It's like, oh, here's all these outlets posting the same thing because, yeah, they just all got it at the same time and they're going to post it to inform. It works like this in literally every single sport.
There's a gentleman, I don't know his name. I have to go back and look at it, and I should apologize to him. And if you're listening to this, I'm apologizing to you. It's a gentleman who he made this thing where it was basically a spreadsheet of, I think it was like a stinker probability or something like that, where it was all their pay-per-view matches, how many of them were bad, like by a percentage. And I jokingly said, I posted Kevin Durant, who wants to look at graphs when we're talking about hoops, and he got mad. He was talking to me crazy, and I was talking crazy back, blah, 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 blah. And I would definitely apologize to him if I talked to him, because I thought I was being funny. It turned into something it shouldn't, and we shouldn't do that. But somehow that turned into I don't know why you don't like message board guys when Phil Schneider is one of the original message board guys. And I'm like, you're projecting. It's not because he's a message board guy, because he's being a fucking geek in the moment. And again, it's my fault. I just fucking hate spreadsheets. Excel is the worst thing to ever exist. But what he did, hard work, super cool, definitely deserves an apology. But again, like there's this disconnect between the people who used to do it and the people who do it now. And when I say used to do it, now I am talking about those Twitter accounts that don't got a face, that used to be on the message boards. There's disconnect between how things work versus how maybe they used to work, or how they think things work, or what they've created, when you would know if you just talk to people. It's the easiest thing in the world. Yesterday, Jeremy, and I'll go after this, two things happened. One was when I said that, Jim Cornette's a racist, and I don't feel bad about that. Somebody was like, well, is this racist? And it was a clip of Jeff Jarrett throwing tortillas out at TripleMania, I guess.
Oh, yeah, that was a couple of years ago.
And the answer is the act was racist on purpose. Like, what are we talking about, right? But I tell the gentleman, I say, hey, why don't you come up with 10 moments in wrestling that you think I might think are racist, and let's get together on a live stream and discuss them. Crickets. Another gentleman was really going back and forth with me about the Cornette thing, and he was like, hey, clearly we disagree on this. Why don't we get together and have a conversation about why you don't think this is an issue and why I think it is? We can get dinner, we can get drinks, we can go to a wrestling show. Like, why don't we just talk about it? And it blew his brain that, like, I wanted to talk. And he was like, why do we need to talk? Why do we need to do this? And why can't you just say? I'm like, because this is not how conversations happen. Things get lost in translation in these little 240 character blurbs. And like, it's not about me being right or you being wrong. It's about having an understanding. And the conclusion, nobody wants understandings. They want to be right on the internet. And so, again, enjoy the shows you enjoy listening to the people you listen to. I'm not trying to take that from you. I'm just telling you how I feel about it.
I'm going to take it from him.
Gentlemen, I appreciate your time as always. I am going to get back to the kids, but be well. And then I think I might be. Oh,
you want to do? You want to do the thing?
Hey, we'll do the thing.
What the?
You can chat me up, guys. I'll talk to you later.
All right.
Bye, guys.
Appreciate you, Cam. Cam Hawkins basically just put himself in a position to do something. Check the private chat.
I know, I did. Apparently, I got boxed out here.
That's coach right there.
My God.
Well, I guess now I can send that to Sean, because he did confirm that he'd like to do it.
Why? What the hell?
Do you want to do it?
I mean, it depends on what time it was.
How about I just put down him and I, and then I say Jeremy might join too. It won't matter because it's going to be behind the paywall.
Fine.
There, done. Sorry, folks. Doing work stuff on the air. That's what we do sometimes. Thanks to Cam Hawkins. He's always fantastic. You'll hear more of him soon. Yoink.
was like, what just happened?
That's what you gotta check. You gotta check your DMs. You gotta check your messages all the time.
I did. I checked the private chat, and by the time I was there, it already. I mean, look, 10:52. You sent it. Cam responded 10:52. It ain't like I had a whole lot of time.
It's because you were speaking. It's because you were speaking, and he had looked at it, and I was like, wait, hold on. This is a good idea too. Oh God, I love live entertainment. We also got a super chat, by the way, from Chi-Town Spurs saying, people who have never worked for a large organization assume they are way more organized than they actually are. There's no way they believe these quote unquote nefarious activities could be coordinated otherwise. And you know what? I'll go a step further. It's not just large organizations. I've worked for large, medium, and small. Sometimes you're just trying to do the job. And sometimes communication isn't good in a small company as much as it is in a large one. It comes down to communication. And some companies are not very well versed in communication. It just is what it is.
I think what you and Cam said are both correct in that people just want to present their opinion online, have it backed up by whoever, and just be right. The conversation is very lost online. Yep. And it's why I had a conversation with Corey from Fightful this weekend of I guess somebody was going after him, harassing him, and and Sean gets it all the time. And plenty of people get it. Like, I don't, this is why I'm not online. I'm just not. People might think I am. I'm online for work, and that's it. It's why I don't respond to people. I'm not trying to be a jerk to anyone if I don't respond to you, unless of course you're being a jerk. Like, even if I think like you have like a good opinion on things and like you're trying to have maybe a conversation, I guess I'm not trusting of that. So I just ignore it. It's like, all right, you can tweet what you want and I'm just going to ignore you. So my conversation with Corey was just basically like, ignore whatever you can. Just don't pay attention to any of it because no one actually wants to have a conversation. They just want to be right. They just want to present their opinion as fact and move on.
I made the decision not too long ago that this show is where I want to have those conversations because this is where people can get a space that not only is publicly available, but is also understanding of what we talk about. And they understand our context and they understand our tone. If I do it online, 99% of the time, people aren't getting it. So I've just decided I'm sticking to jokey jokes on Twitter. I'm going to watch shows, make a crack here and there, praise something when I like it. And if something really deserves to be, like this ain't for me, I can put it out there, but I'm going to do it in a way that's like, I'm not going to be like, this sucks. This is the worst thing ever. The show's garbage and the company's dead. I don't care to do that. I'm not going to participate in that. Instead, just be like, yeah, all right, maybe not what I would do. And that's that.
I don't even when it comes to like wrestling tweets, I don't even like, I'll throw jokes out there because I think they're funny, but then I'll hear from people that I don't really, that like are friends and people I like, and they're like explaining things to me and I'm just like, I'm just fucking around. I appreciate you paying attention, but I don't want to actually explain what I meant by this joke. Like, that's also why I have 90% of tweets are just to pop me. It might actually be 95%. I should probably up that to like 99%.
Yeah, it's got to be it. Yeah, it's up there. 98%.
Like, yeah. But like that's literally, I'm tweeting for an audience of one. If other people find it funny, awesome. If you want to try to have a conversation, like I appreciate it. I'm a huge fan of Jeremy's jokes and laughing at my posts and pieces out. Yes, that's what happens. I don't know why it gained. Oh, the Tony Khan.
Oh, we talked about this on Friday. They haven't posted clips from Dynasty yet.
No.
Oh, it was a different one. Oh, my bad.
This was after the like Harvey Weinstein comment that he made. And I just tweeted, it's like a 2-minute clip. And he hits all the marks. in this 2-minute clip because they don't even ask him about WWE. They ask him, they're like, oh, what does Shad think of, you doing this stuff? And he's like, oh, Shad was really upset in the 5 years of AEW existence, from all the pay-per-views, from all the shows we do Wednesday, every Wednesday on Dynamite, all the Collision episodes we do Collision every Saturday on AEW Collision, all the pay-per-views that we have. He's hitting all the marks. He's making sure to say Wednesdays. Oh, all the programming we've done on TBS Wednesdays, on TNT on Saturdays. He's hitting every single mark. And he's talking about the history with the Young Bucks. He's like, they hit me with the TK driver and they feel upset about what I've done to them and their friend Jack Perry, who Jack Perry has returned. He's going through the entire history of the Angle. He's making sure to plug the weekly shows. He's plugging the pay-per-view. He's hitting every single mark on this. And he takes the shot at WWE to get people talking. But he continues to move on and continues to plug, and he makes AEW be the underdog. He hits every single mark on this. A true pro when it comes to just promoting his brand. It's hilarious to me. And I tweeted as much. I was like, he hit all the check notes he needed to hit for this 2-minute interview. I was like a true pro with this. And people, I don't know why I saw the numbers on this like 2 hours later. I was like, why the fuck does this have so many replies and quotes? I didn't read a single one of them. I got no idea what people were arguing about on that. I just noticed that it got way too many replies. And then I was like, nope, not doing this, because people are going to draw their own conclusions on what I mean by this tweet. And all I meant was Tony Khan hit a bunch of check notes. He check marked everything he needed to check mark on his list. Does that mean I agree with it? Does that mean I disagree with it? Don't surmise it based on that tweet what you think my actual opinion on what he said is.
People are just whatever, man. People come out here with a preconceived notion of what they want social media to look like for them, and that's a problem. And again, going back to what Cam and I and Jeremy, what we were just talking about, is the idea that you talk to the people, you have a conversation. It's okay not to agree, but like don't get personal about it. It doesn't need to become a personal, weird, bullshit conversation. It's not even a conversation at that point. It's just a yelling match, and you don't need that. I certainly don't.
All right, let's have a conversation, Joel, about Tony's comments.
Okay.
What did you make of them? I was doing a mock draft with Rob and Maggie when this was said. I was like, oh shit, I gotta go because I gotta write this quote now. What did you think when Tony said AEW is Pepsi and WWE is Harvey Weinstein?
Took a hard left turn on that one.
Yeah, what the fuck?
So here's the funny thing is that Friday I was so incredibly wiped out from just the week in general. I hadn't been sleeping well. It had been a very busy week, and I decided after the show on Friday I was going to take a nap. So I went to go take a nap, and I even tweeted out with the photo of myself in bed being like, all right, nobody do any dumb shit for the next 2 hours. And I fell asleep, and I woke up 2 hours later to that exact video. And I was like, well, at least they waited 2 hours to do it. I think it was not, I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I think the biggest problem, and I don't know who it was. Maybe it was Dave, or maybe it was Brian at the Observer. And he kind of said, when you take shots at the entirety of a company about something like this specifically, it's a little harder to
the whole company's named in the lawsuit.
You're right, and they are, and that's kind of the problem, is that it depends on who you talk to and who you think about when you're being discussed in here. Because like person X who holds the camera versus wrestler Y versus, like, it's tough to kind of think about, because on its head, yeah, listen, it's funny, haha, but there's a seriousness about the fact that there is a lawsuit out there, and it's a very serious allegation. It's a very serious lawsuit. So I'm of two minds. It's just like, haha, but also like, I don't think you needed to go in that hard when you just had a fantastic week of telling this story, showing up in a neck brace on mainstream media, where you and I talked about this. The conversation was either going to be he shows up in the next neck brace and it's like one of four quadrants that could happen. And he got the best out of all of it. Wrestling fans were happy about it. The mainstream media did not by and large ridicule it. In fact, they talked about it and kind of like brought it up in kayfabe and played it off with him. Not many people who mattered said anything that was like, oh God, this is such a, this is so stupid, blah, 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 stupid wrestling. No, most people were pretty like understanding that this is part of an angle and they played it up. They had fun with it. And then he got a little too real, in my opinion. And when you get a little too real, when you're dealing with fake ass wrestling stuff, I understand why people get annoyed, upset, or just disenfranchised with a company or with a person and their comments.
I think he had the right message. I think he delivered it in not the greatest way. I don't think he's wrong for trying to get people to see that WWE is named in this lawsuit, that Vince McMahon is an abhorrent piece of shit. I don't think he's wrong for that.
Right. I agree.
I think trying to make it work, Pepsi, their Harvey Weinstein, is the wrong way to go about it. If he had been like, we're a challenger brand to WWE, WWE headed by Vince McMahon for the longest time, go see what he's up to. Go see what he's doing now. I think there was a way to bring this to light and get attention on it, which there should be. I think he just delivered it in a way that didn't come across the best. Yeah, people are going to say like he employs Ric Flair. Like, oh, I agree with all of that. It lessens, and this is why again when it comes across as a pot shot like this, that's where it's easier to blow back on. Oh, well, you employ Ric Flair. You have this people, you have this person, you have that person. You say it's the safest company. That's why I think he could have done it in a way that was go see what WWE is doing instead of they are like this. Because then you have a little bit more of a leg to stand on. Because then you're not making it so much about AEW versus WWE, who's employed, who's doing what. You are making it about what is actually going on with WWE, which is a very real thing that there should be attention brought to.
Phil from Grapsity have brought this up on the show, and I listened to it the other day, and I think there was a point where I was like, maybe you're reaching, but also I kind of got where he was coming from, where in his eyes, the comment was Harvey Weinstein in the way that WWE has been an institution in professional wrestling for so long, for 50, 60 years, and they've put out a very strong product over the majority of that time frame. And that's kind of what the Weinstein group did. And it was head up by somebody who was just abhorrent, who was awful. And as a result, the name is still attached to the bad stuff. And I think that's a point worth considering. I don't think that there was like a thought in Tony's mind where was like, oh, I'm going to get him. It's going to be so nuanced. But, or maybe there was, who knows? Maybe I don't speak for the guy, I'm not in his brain. But I think like he had a point. I think that Phil had a point, and it's worth kind of, taking into account. There is an institution that is WWE compared to AEW. The same thing with the Weinstein Company. Like people have known about that company and its movie making for generations. The person at the top was always a bona fide piece of shit who has been, called out at this point in multiple areas of court and public opinion for that matter.
Phil is very smart. I don't know if I would have gone Pepsi and Harvey Weinstein.
Again, you take a hard left turn because of the neck injury. It's because his brain's all messed up.
Maybe you should have compared AEW to Jordan Peele or something, you know.
But the problem, but then this is like the challenger brand mentality that has been kind of like pumped into Tony's psyche from WBD. And this isn't me being like, oh, evil, but this isn't that. It's just, if you go back and you look at what Tony has said in the past, he's always called them a challenger brand, and he's even complimented, that WBD were the ones that kind of bestowed that upon him as a moniker for AEW. They are the Pepsi to WWE's Coke. He continues to use that. I think maybe he just got lost in his own assertion, and he went and said Harvey Weinstein.
I don't know if
Weinstein's in the news that week.
I don't know if he got lost in his own assertion. I think he knew exactly what he was saying, and he said it for a reason. And I don't think he is wrong for bringing attention to all of this. I think it could have been delivered a little bit better. But otherwise, I do think like it didn't look, the optics of it didn't look great in that the hosts were quickly trying to be like, okay, that like they tried to make it. And I know Sean put out the report that like NFL Network understood and like they didn't have an issue with it. They knew it would bring a lot of attention, the comment and everything. But the host,
NFL Network's also owned by the ownership, isn't it? Like it's partly owned, as far as I understand it. Maybe. As far as I understand, it's part of the NFL Network, hence NFL Network. So therefore, the Cons are kind of like 1/16 owners of the station.
Okay. So, but the fact that they were like, okay, that's enough. Like we gotta move on. Like I don't think, and I'm just talking optics wise, them trying to like quickly get out of that made the comments seem a little bit worse than it was. I do agree with some people who are like, if you're more mad about Tony Khan just saying this than you are at WWE, that like, I agree with that. Gives a fuck what Tony has to say. Like, he's going to take his shot. He brought more attention to things, and I don't think he's wrong for bringing attention to this stuff. I think it could have been presented a little bit different, but this is an ongoing thing in WWE. When he's just supposed to ignore it, I don't think he needs to ignore it.
Oh, I don't think so either. It's all in how you present those comments. By the way, the hilarious irony of calling yourselves, we're the Pepsi to AEW. You know who one of WWE's sponsors are? They did a big black match. Yeah.
I didn't know.
Mountain Dew is a PepsiCo product. And I think Lay's, they also did the Lay's thing, and Lay's is a PepsiCo product.
No, okay.
It's just funny little things like that make me laugh. It's one of the, like, it's a cute little, if you know, where you're not laughing at the tribalism bullshit. You're laughing at the fact that like, yeah, we're the challenger brand. We're Pepsi. It's like Pepsi sponsors the guys that you think they're the challenger brand too. By the way, this from Andreas Hale, who's been on the show before. Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson on July 20th will officially be classified as a sanctioned heavyweight professional fight. 8 2-minute rounds with 14-ounce gloves, and the outcome will reflect on their pro records. So it's no longer Tyson gets high and fights a guy fight. It is it
might be
Jake Paul gets high with Mike Tyson and they fight it out in the ring type of fight.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently it matters. So there you go. People have been talking about the seriousness of this fight and whether or not it would be considered serious.
I'm looking forward to it. It's a dumb fight, but I don't have any other interest in boxing. So
yeah, everything's dumb in boxing.
I'm all for it.
Exactly. It's just like wrestling. Nobody takes it seriously.
Then they shouldn't. Honestly, they shouldn't.
Nobody should.
Jake Paul's gonna have to put on some weight. He was fighting at like 185, 190, I think. Mike Tyson's a big dude.
So just got to bite off his ear. Oh, there it is. Someone made the comments.
Do you think Mike Tyson has a biteable butt?
Maybe Jake Paul will find out. Maybe that's part of his diet to get him up to 235. Let me bite that ass. I don't know why he sounds like Steve-O all of a sudden. By the way, SummerSlam tickets go on sale May the 9th. Pre-sale is May 7th. That's next Tuesday. and then the on sale is the Thursday.
Okay.
Speaking of cons, the Nick Con non-story that also dropped, the selling of shares. Very quickly into that, it is a non-story. That's really all you need to know. No, Nick Khan isn't planning on leaving. I think Brandon Thurston brought it up the best when he said the most important part of this whole conversation is that Nick Khan's employment contract is finished in a year in August. So August 2025 is the current end of Nick Khan's contract with TKO WWE.
So Sportico just framed this story completely wrong.
Seems that way, yes.
That's where all this started. Is they saw the SEC filing by TKO about Vince putting up the shares, which, by the way, because when I saw it, I was like, wasn't this done already? Turns out it was. Like 2 weeks ago, there was a preliminary filing with all the same information. This was just an official filing. Sportico made it seem like Vince was done. He was out. He was gone. If you read the filing, no, he's put them up for sale, but they haven't been sold yet. And that's that. Like, I'm glad Thurston clarified it. If Sportico had read it in the first place and actually paid attention to what the filing was, Thurston wouldn't have had to clarify anything. Sportico got people all up in arms with the way they framed their story, and people just went crazy over it. And the same thing with the Nick Khan stuff. He put them up for sale. Okay, what does that mean?
Someone wants a vacation home. That's what that means.
It doesn't mean he's got to sell all of it. It's just they're there. He's still employed. He's still going to get that salary. It's just, this is a way for him to rich people to get richer. That's all this is.
Yeah, like it's typically a non-story. I usually defer to the John Pollocks and Brandon Thurston's, especially Brandon. That's not a knock on John. He's great. But Brandon has become the pro wrestling numbers guy, which I very much appreciate and look forward to on a weekly basis. It's okay to say, I don't know what this means, and either dig into it yourself and ask a financial advisor type person, or wait until somebody who knows reports on it. I saw way too many takes from people who are quote unquote professionals or in the know in this world of ours, saying like, oh, might be it for Nick Khan, like, and just clickbaiting the shit out of their own stuff. And I was like, I don't think this is what you think this is. Like, it's okay to we can play the shut the F up clip if you really want, but the point is sometimes it's just okay to lean back and be like, you don't need to be first. You do not need to be first. You don't even, like, your whoever's reading this from your Twitter feed probably saw it on literally everyone else's, and you don't need to give your opinion about it if you do not know what it actually means.
Well, yeah, that's definitely where the shut the fuck up
a lot of that
into. But that, especially now with blue checks and everybody just wants to engagement, and they don't care if they're right or wrong. They don't. They're just going to throw out there whatever they want to throw out there. And if it turns out they're wrong, it's not like they're going to delete it. Be like, oh, well, it's up. It's already done great numbers for me. Just going to keep it up there. Maybe they'll say like, oh, sorry, had it wrong. But by that point, it's already caught on and gone crazy. And all that stuff's going to go crazy more than any type of apology of I'm sorry, because that's just how it works. Now, if you run a website, if you post articles, you should probably have a clue of what you're doing before you put that on your actual website. And that's why I was anytime these SEC filing stuff come out, I don't care about being first. I don't. I look it over. I make sure I know what I'm talking about with that. And then I wait for Brandon Thurston. If Thurston doesn't tweet or clarify within 5 to 10 minutes, I will message him directly and be like, hey,
he's probably at work.
I will be like, hey, can you put this in layman's terms for me? And I've gotten better about understanding what a lot of this stuff means. And that's why, again, when I saw the Sportico article but compared to reading the actual filing, I saw that filing way before, because that filing I can do a quick little Hold on. The filing was issued. I got this email. I'm part of the mailing list. I don't know if that offends anybody. I got this email at 4:42 about this filing. This Sportico article, people were retweeting it and everything. Let's see if I can find when it was big time tweeted. Oh, here we go. Was out at 5:35. So I saw this email an hour before this Sportico article hit. And when I saw it, I'm like, this feels like nothing to me, because we've already covered Vince putting his the final shares up for sale. We covered that 2 weeks ago, April 12th. I can give you the exact date.
Yeah, when they went up, when the SEC filing was put up.
Yeah, that the SEC filing on April 12th. And I was like, this is all the same information. He hasn't sold anything. They're just up for sale. Nick Khans are up for sale. Again, we covered all of this on April 12th. There was no new information presented in this filing. But because Sportico framed it the way they did, everyone went crazy over it. And then I had to end up doing the article on it because it was big news and I have to talk about it. But I put the proper clarifiers in the article of like, hey, this is what all of this means. But it's all about framing. It's all about getting the correct information. And again, you don't have to be first. I could have easily been first on this. I could have posted this article. The sales are for sale. Maybe I should have. I don't know. Maybe I should have, because then maybe people would have been like, oh, you know what? This is actually what it means. Sportico is wrong. Or they probably would have told me I was wrong because, Sportico, I can't outdo them.
But you could. You just choose not to.
Sorry, Sportico. I'm sure you guys do great work.
I feel like someone who works for us used to work at Sportico.
Maybe
it's someone else. Maybe I'm thinking of someone else. Doesn't matter. So yeah, that's the non-story with Nick Khan. The point is, pay attention to the Brandon Thurston's and John Pollocks of the world. You owe it to yourselves to be smart wrestling fans and not just take in the opinion pieces. The opinion pieces can be fun. Certain people make it such, but the news pieces, that gives you the full context, the full breadth of the conversation. Speaking of which, Solid Monster says MJF is not going to be back soon. That was a very interesting one. No? Out of that? Okay, we're not going to talk about that. Draft happened.
Allegedly, yeah.
And it was fine. It just it felt like tonight is going to be a much more important draft night compared to what happened on Friday. They're going to probably put a little bit more emphasis into that.
Yeah, I guess the draft on Friday was lame and boring, and it happened. Now tonight, the best part of the draft was Roman Reigns being like, I ain't showing up, so I'm removing myself from the draft. Like, okay, all right, that's interesting. That's a take. Now it's tonight. It's like nobody really changed. And most people stayed on the same brand. The biggest change was like Braun Breaker, who SmackDown worked so hard to sign, and he just gets drafted to Raw.
Yeah, that was a little weird. I'm wondering what they're going to do with Jade, because they had a similar situation with her where it was like, where's she going to go? Who's she going to sign with? And then ultimately she ends up at SmackDown. And I mean, Bianca's staying on SmackDown as well. Now it just comes down to where Naomi lands as well. So we'll see. But yeah, the Braun thing, I don't know. The general consensus was they think that Braun will excel on Raw with the people who will be on Raw. And Triple H, of course, came out and said it's about protecting your brands as well. So they spent a lot of time, quote, protecting their brands by just not having people move very much other than two people, plus Kiana James getting drafted from NXT, which might set the tone for tonight, being like, we're going to have more or much more NXT call-ups on the way.
They got general managers. They brought back the Dudleys and Michelle McCool and
Teddy Long and JBL.
Tori Wilson. And yet old Triple H has to come out here and get his friggin' pop, get his moment of praise by announcing draft picks and by announcing new era and all this stuff. Like, dude, can you just not? Like, can you just not? There's people, you've already got people for all of this. And yet he's got to hear the music. It's got to be time to play the game.
Well, no, that's the old music. Now it's Behold the King. The King
is it? I don't pay attention to what friggin' music he comes out to.
He loves Lemmy. He just wants everyone to hear Motorhead one last time because, you know, Lemmy's been dead for 7 years, 8 years.
He's gonna come out tonight and do the same thing. SmackDown's in France, right? In the show, and then in France.
I don't think so. I think they're doing the Bash in Berlin show.
They haven't taped it. They haven't taped SmackDown. They didn't tape it last week.
We're gonna find out. Hold on.
I'm pretty sure it's in France because they.
It is. It is. It's both nights. Anyway, Friday and Saturday. For some reason, because France is only an 8-hour flight, you can go. It's Le SmackDown.
So he's gonna come out on SmackDown in France to get that pop. Shit, he'll probably show up on Backlash. He's gonna come out the following Raw too to announce that the draft is over and the roster split's official. The brands are official. The rosters are locked.
And then he won't be on SmackDown in Wilkes-Barre, and he won't be on Raw in Greenville, South Carolina, but he will be on SmackDown Friday, May 17th, live from Jacksonville. And he comes out and takes as many shots as he can at AEW. And then on May 24th, he will absolutely be on the show because SmackDown will emanate from Jeddah, Saudi Arabia.
He's just going to come out on all of these shows. It's
time to play the game. That's right, baby.
I don't know. I don't have an opinion on the draft. It happened. I can't tell you who got drafted where. Honestly, I'd have to look at it. It's all going to change in 2 weeks anyway, despite the rosters being locked. They don't make it as serious as they should. I wish they'd put more into it. It's a show. It's a draft show. Like AJ Styles got picked in like the 4th round or something. It's like this dude's challenging for the title. He could be the champion next week. And they're just like, yeah, sure, 4th round, AJ Styles. But they don't make it meaningful, so I don't pretend to care that it's meaningful.
And I get it. And that's why tonight I'm not expecting huge fireworks, huge moves or anything like that. But like there will be a few more surprises. Again, I'm interested in the NXT side of things because we've seen how NXT has been treated in the draft in the past. And we've seen the non-stories that have come out from there. So I want to see who gets called up. Kiana James was a surprise for a lot of people, including Kiana herself, according to Fightful Select. So we'll play off how that goes. I'm interested. Ilya Dragunov is another one that we're expecting. I still think, I know I said Gallus or Metaphor is the one group that I am kind of expecting to show up.
This is why I can't get interested in the draft. It's because maybe they didn't have a plan for Keanu James, no idea. But they said a couple weeks ago, Ilya Dragunov, when he was still NXT champion, is eligible for the draft. Roxanne Perez, who is the reigning women's champion, is eligible for the draft. If this is a real thing, no knock on Carmelo Hayes, why isn't the dude who beat him in every single match not the guy you draft over him? No knock on Kiana James. Why isn't the champion not drafted over her?
And she's part of the draft, isn't she?
I just said that, Joel.
I know. I'm bringing that up again. She's part of the draft.
Yes.
Meanwhile, you say all of your champions are locked on Raw and SmackDown. Why wouldn't they have done the same with NXT? That's a little point where I'm just like, that's why I'm bringing it up again. Why is she part of the draft as the NXT Women's Champion? And then I assume Trick can then say, well, I'm also going to be part of the draft. He hasn't. Like, you just kind of wonder. It's like,
they haven't said who from NXT is part of the draft. Just like eligible NXT superstars.
Yeah, you're right. They haven't. On the Kiana friends, the reason why it made sense to me that she would get drafted is as it was a surprise to many. And again, I was surprised, but it doesn't surprise me at the same time because she's done a lot more character work lately than it has been challenging for a title or doing, like, it's been more about building the Kiana James character than it's been about Kiana James wrestling, because she's been a great wrestler. She has really improved over the last year alone. So for her to be called up, it's great. She can continue to do the character work that she started doing. I'm guessing Izzy Dame doesn't come up with her. It is what it is. But other than that, it's going to be a very different looking NXT roster after the draft in some ways, especially if Roxanne Perez goes up. They can't have her drop that title. They just can't.
I mean, they can. Well, she didn't lose it last week, though. She's not wrestling tomorrow on Spring Break-In, so
it feels like she'll play multiple shows. So she gets
she's got to get drafted.
Well, that's the thing. I'm saying if she does get drafted, so if you don't draft her, then it'll be fodder for her character to be upset and annoyed. On the other hand, you kind of make her look like an idiot because she's the women's champion. And on the third hand, if she goes and gets drafted somewhere, then she's got to be on all the shows, which, like, it's not the end of the world. She'll go back and forth between Florida and wherever Raw or SmackDown is that week. And then eventually drop the title. When's the next show? Is it Battleground? You could do a Battleground.
What are you, fucking Goro out here with 3 hands? How many more do you have?
I got 3, maybe 4. I can have a 4th hand if you'd like. Okay. On the 4th hand, she could just drop the title and quit WWE altogether. Start working at the Apex full time.
The draft is dumb. Like, again, they don't put that much stock into it, so I don't put that much stock into it. I did a serious draft with Jensen last week. Sean tried to do a serious draft with you last week. No, I think you lost in that poll.
I think the poll was rigged.
Maybe. I had the greatest draft of all time against Maggie. Drafted Maxine Dupree, first overall. Drafted Paul Heyman. I'm pairing Paul Heyman with Maxine Dupree. Drafted Thea Hale. The perfect draft.
It's actually very interesting. Not draft Roxy because of her shitty attitude.
But see, they won't do that. They don't explain stuff like that. Like, they don't explain like why AJ Styles fell to like the 4th round. Like, that's the kind of stuff that I think would be good to do. Because why would you draft Ricochet over AJ Styles? Why were a lot of these people drafted AJ? Why was Seth Rollins drafted so high? He's going to be out. Like, why would he be drafted so high when he's going to be injured? Like, they could do so much more with this. They don't care to do it, though. It annoys me because I like it annoys me because I like the real sports element of pro wrestling, but they don't do it good. They don't do it right. They don't do it well.
That's fair. And I'm sure, listen, Wednesday we're going to talk about how things really did shake out at the end. And of course, Backlash is coming. So nothing really matters when it comes to the draft until May 6th when they lock the rosters, quote unquote. And that'll be that. Collision, Rampage was very good. I quite enjoyed the show. It was on Saturday. I know you didn't watch live, but
what are you talking about? I didn't watch live. I covered both the shows.
Did you cover? I don't know. You were too busy tweeting about the other sports you were watching. I know you can do multiple things at once. I'm aware of this.
My teams played. The Thunder played at 2:30 in the 3:30 on Saturday. So
who does that afternoon weekend games? That's awful.
Yeah, the Thunder game was over. I had Lakers and Nuggets on another screen, but I covered both shows because. Never mind. But I did cover both shows. So I watched live. I watched the wrestling this week.
Okay. Well, now that you admittedly watched the wrestling, did you enjoy Collision? Did it feel a little bit different than other weeks to you?
I liked Swerve's promo. I like that he addressed the Elite because I thought that needed to be a talking point. And I liked that in that first quarter, which we all know and assume is going to be a big number thanks to the Heat and Celtics game. That was a blowout, so that might hurt AEW, but I will say that like basketball fans are masochists and like they'll watch a blowout. They don't care. They're here. some of them will be like, doesn't matter, 30 points 3 minutes ago, they could come back. We had a 31-point comeback between the Mavericks and the Clippers yesterday. Clippers still won, but 31 points.
Massive.
Yes, it would have been the largest, tied for the largest comeback in playoff history, but the Clippers still won. That was a great game yesterday. Anyway,
Sorry,
I like that.
I totally just buried the thumbnail. We haven't gotten to it.
That's fine. We got time.
So do the thumbnail afterwards. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, we're talking about Collision.
Oh, sometimes we can rewind and then just go back, just so like in wrestling.
We're on it. So I like that Swerve mentioned it. I like that they showed the footage. I like that they gave the update on Tony, all within the first quarter, which again you expect the highest quarter. I still think they missed the boat on not having the Elite do some type of video package, some type of cut in, or being there talking about things and just making a point of things. Of like, oh, Tony isn't going to be around. He's not going to, because they aired the what's to come on Dynamite, a commercial for Dynamite. They're like, what's in store for Kenny Omega from the Elite, or what's in store from the Elite when Kenny Omega returns in Winnipeg. Like that was the commercial for Dynamite. I would have had the Elite send in something of like, hey, we hear Tony Khan is gonna, we hear Tony Khan can't run AEW at the show. He's got to run it remotely. Well, guess who's running the show now? We hear Kenny's coming back on Wednesday. Hey, guess what's happening on Wednesday? Like some type of tease like that. Simeon says paid advertisements like the end of. I mean, they're the EVPs. I don't know if they got to be paid advertisements, but like there should have been some type of video for them that connected what happened this Wednesday, something on Collision, and then what's going to happen this upcoming Wednesday. I would have liked that from the Elite. They should have been on the show in some capacity. I thought that was a missed opportunity.
Yeah, and like you said, they still had other ways of talking about it, whether that's showing the footage from Wednesday, having Swerve comments on it. Even commentary was on it. I like that chat's talking about it. Nigel mentioned, TK is going to be remote, and then the Elite control AEW. And I love that Tony Schiavone leaned into everything from the last couple of weeks. Everyone was saying, he was looking at the camera like he wants to quit because even he knows that this all-in footage is bullshit. And of course, Tony goes on his podcast and says, that's not true. I was playing into the moment, blah, blah, blah. Like, take from that what you will. But then he comes this week and he goes he's all in on it. And he's just like, what a bunch of dorks, essentially. And that was the best way that he could have responded to everything that's going on with the Elite storyline. And with Kenny coming back, there's like this, oh my God, he's coming back. This could be a huge deal for, getting back at the Elite. What's going to happen? I don't know if the Elite needed to be there. I understand the feeling why it could have been a big deal, but I think AEW did a good job of not just giving you something to look forward to on Wednesday when they do come back, but still keeping it fresh and important on Saturday by not having them physically in the building. The emphasis became on Swerve, and it was his show because he bookended the show. And they didn't just have the Elite come out and take out some of the.
No, it's fine that they weren't there. It's fine that they didn't attack anybody. All I'm asking for is a video of them maybe responding to Swerve. And then also, I don't know what the story is with Swerve, who his opponent's going to be kind of thing. So I don't know if you want them to be like, we got something in store for you on Wednesday with your opponent. Because I don't know if that's going to play together. So if it's not going to play together, don't mention it. But what they could have mentioned was, oh, we hear Kenny's back on Wednesday. We got something for Kenny. Because that's literally what they're hyping in the commercial. So all I'm asking is for a video from the actual people hyping that in the same manner. I think that would have just, it would have just been a nice connective thing. That's all.
Okay, I got you. I was just trying to, okay, that makes perfect sense to me. I apparently Kenny on his Twitch stream said that the venue in Winnipeg promoted him before he agreed to do it. That's his assertion.
So I don't know.
And keep in mind, like Kenny, I said this before. Kenny is a worker. Kenny can easily be just saying shit to say shit because he can say shit. And if that's true, I think that's hilarious. But he's gonna be on Dynamite on Wednesday.
So Brian Danielson said that the venue may have put this out there before it was all confirmed. So I do think that Kenny is being truthful in that, like, he said it was 80% agreed to. He was 80%, and then the venue put it out there. And so I was like, well, guess we got to do this.
Amazing.
So he went with it. So I do think that was the case. The venue kind of maybe put it out there before it was fully confirmed. I do think that was the case.
I'm just going to put down Kenny Omega's coming to my birthday party, and I'm just going to see if I can guilt him into coming to my birthday party.
That's fair.
That's how you do it. Kenny Omega's coming to my bar mitzvah. Oh, shit. Now I have to show up. I'm looking forward to Wednesday. I think Dynamite's going to be a really strong show. I'm hoping I have high hopes for it because Saturday felt like a reinvigorated Collision, and they needed it because of the NBA playoffs and because whenever they come out of a pay-per-view, it's sometimes this big like hit or miss Dynamite, and the Dynasty Dynamite like wasn't the best, but I think Collision kind of made up for that and got me looking forward to Wednesday. There's going to be some good stuff coming out.
Very much looking forward to the Learning Tree, Chris Jericho against Katsuyori Shibata on Wednesday.
Very much looking forward to that. Big Bill's going to get involved. Who's Shibata going to get? I mean, I guess he's just going to have Daniel Garcia, and then Daniel Garcia is going to join the Learning Tree. Is that what we're going to do?
That doesn't seem great. Yeah, no Collision this upcoming week. Right now, TNT's listing like movies. I do wonder if playoff schedule is going to be affected by that, because with the playoffs, the first round could be done, so there could be second round games, or there could be like a potential game 7. So I'm actually looking on Saturday. So like it's possible that, and all these games are scheduled to list on TNT, by the way. Lakers, Nuggets, Sixers, Knicks, Pacers, Bucks, all of those are possible game 7s. So if either any of those series happen to go game 7, they would be on TNT. You're probably getting a primetime slot for any of them. Obviously, if there's multiple, you'd have one at like, depending on, you know, what locations, you'd have one at like 7, one at 9:30, one at 8, one at 10, something like that. So I think that's why it's a movie block listed right now, because I've seen people, again, let's all freak out over things that we see instead of do 2 seconds of research. I've seen people be like, oh, AEW's in trouble. They're listing The Accountant and fucking whatever else is on TNT that's listed.
Great movie, though.
It is a good movie. They're listing The Accountant, like Collision is in trouble because it's being replaced by just a movie block. Like, no, the movies are placeholders because there's potential game 7s or there's potential game 1s in round 2 if these series wrap up. So don't read into what's on the TNT schedule. You know, the playoffs moving, and it could be NHL games as well. They could be on TNT, but I can tell you, matter of fact, TNT is hosting game 7s if there's game 7s. And I can, not a fact, but pretty assuredly tell you they'll probably host some second round games. And that's why movies are being listed in that spot right now. So don't be stupid.
Yeah, but like good movies, they air once in a while.
Yeah.
You think Tony would live tweet through one of those movies? He has at the end of them.
He's injured.
Oh, that's come on. He's also turning his neck like a garden hose. You heard our comment section.
He's injured.
God bless. There was something else that I was going to bring up from. Oh, yeah, they're talking about another 3-hour block of AEW programming this week on Wednesday. This time,
yes.
So,
well, that's again Friday. You're getting playoff games on Friday. Yeah. Do I think that
I'm bringing it up more as a news thing more than I am like if you hear this, you should know 3 hours coming this Wednesday.
Yeah, I think it's a test for.
Oh yeah,
moving forward.
Yeah, and listen, I don't want it. I can speak to many people who are like, please no, don't do this.
So
I get why, but I got to be honest with you. When 10 o'clock rolls around, I'm usually like, I think I'm checking out, and I will watch the rest later. And sometimes I come back to it, sometimes I don't.
So here's the thing that I feel people are missing with the 3-hour AEW block. It's not one show. It's two shows. Rampage is a separate show from Dynamite or from Collision. Make of that what you will. But, and maybe they will change this, by the way, if they do go 3 hours. If they do go 3 hours, permanently moving forward. Maybe they'll change this because they'll look at, oh, that final hour really drops off because it's Rampage matches and it's not Dynamite matches. People, oh, we saw Swerve, he beat Claudio. Why are we going to stick around to watch the Rampage matches now? And maybe they'll have to be like, okay, well, maybe we got to put Swerve versus Claudio in that third hour, so we have give people a reason to stick around. But right now, it's two separate shows, and that's how I view it. It doesn't feel like it's one 3-hour show, because it's not. It's a 2-hour show followed by a 1-hour show. They're kind of connected because it's AEW, but there's different stuff going on them.
Yeah, it does. It's not a continuation of Dynamite most of the time. When I was in Toronto, they did the 3-hour block. I think it was the first time that they ran like a Dynamite 3-hour block with Rampage.
Yeah.
And it wasn't bad, but I was also, I'm live in the crowd, so it's a different experience. But the only like connecting tissue they had throughout the whole thing was the women's street fights, the tag team street fight. And that was because they had a couple of segments on they opened up with the CEO segment, with the Mercedes segment. Then they did something backstage to kind of say at the end of Rampage, blah, 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 it's this match. Otherwise, they haven't done a lot of that connecting stuff during a 3-hour block. Because if you remember, the parking lot brawl that was set up on Dynamite's for Rampage on Saturday, the Deonna Purrazzo and Thunder Rosa match was set up on Wednesday for Saturday night. Like there was a lot of like extended Dynamite storytelling into Saturday, and then Collision stood on its own. And it wasn't necessarily a bad thing. It was just like this weird, how do we plan for these 3-hour blocks when we know they're coming and we still have stories to tell on either show? It's yeah, it could be disconnected sometimes.
Jeff Aller Driver saying that I do think this week's Rampage had the main event and the opener in the wrong spot, though. I do wonder, maybe Caden was at the show on Saturday. I do wonder if that was partially because the parking lot fight was a pre-tape. And so maybe they didn't want to air that at the end of the show. And it's like, oh, fans are leaving as this is being aired. They instead aired it at the beginning. So one, it gives the live fans a little bit of a break after the main event, but also, hey, stick around. We got more wrestling for you. So I think that's why Caden said they want to make sure the crowd stayed. That was my assumption on things, is they wanted to make sure fans stayed there.
Yeah, and again, speaking to the Dynamite show in Toronto, this is probably where they learned to do it this way. They had the Adam Copeland TNT title win, and they did the pyro and the streamers and the confetti, and then they had to clean up the ring. So what did they do? They sent out the Acclaimed, and they did the Acclaimed, and they did the video from Bang Bang Gang, and it was like this really awkward 20 minutes because they were trying to clean up the ring and they were trying to reset the show, and this was their way of trying to keep everything together, but it just didn't work there. Whereas I think having the parking lot brawl right after Collision, where they could change everything over and clean up properly, I think that's a better use of your time if you have that option.
I think, and this is where it might be difficult for the 3-hour block with two separate shows, is Dynamite always ends pretty hot, whether it's with a match or an angle. So you do all of that, but then you gotta switch everything over. You got to change all the graphics. You got to change all the ring apron. If there is a celebration, you got to clean all that up and everything. So Rampage usually starts with like the main event. Sometimes like it starts with something kind of hot as an opener. You got to almost kill time to do all of that now.
It's gotten better now that they use the LED boards,
Yeah.
because that graphic switch is literally a button push. If you have some ring aprons on the backside, you can flip those out. But if you're smart, which is most wrestling companies did this or used to do this, they're literally on strings. They just kind of go one over the other, right? Old school WWF, it used to be when they taped Heat, you had a big WWF logo, like a house show ring skirt, and then you would just have the Raw skirt underneath, and then the Warzone skirt underneath that, and everything would just kind of, take place during the commercial break. Retape the ropes if you needed to for 205 Live, which was ridiculous. The stupid purple tape that they would have rolls and rolls of, and you would make it work, right? The fastest grounds team in the world is the WWE production team. So they did really well with that. But with all that in mind, I agree that they need to find a way to make the changeovers as smooth as possible. And if they fall into hot dynamite match ends the show and they go right into Rampage or whatever they're going to call that third hour, they can't just have like top of the ramp interview all the time. Or like backstage segment. Like, they got to find a way to make it work. And some weeks it will, but if you stick to the only thing being, we're going to have a top of the ramp interview to open the show with Renee Paquette, that is going to burn people real quick.
We'll see if it becomes a permanent change moving forward. Right now it is because of basketball. As the playoffs continue, obviously less teams, more spots become available. All right, the schedule is less filled because there's just less games overall. So Collision and Rampage will get back on track. Remember, they didn't have this issue last year because Collision didn't debut until mid-June, and by that point the playoffs were just about done, so it never became an issue. Now it obviously is, so we'll see if they keep the 3 hours or what they end up going with.
We're gonna get into the Drew McIntyre stuff in a sec. There's a ton to talk about. Well, there's enough. We'll talk about it. WrestleVotes dropped a tweet while we had Cam Hawkins on, saying, after speaking with a reliable WWE source over the weekend, it seems that the chances of WrestleMania 41 being held in Minneapolis are decreasing with each passing day. The longer we wait for an announcement, the stronger Las Vegas looks, quote, said the source. While this doesn't mean Minnesota is out of the running, the delay in announcing isn't part of any new strategy or rollout. WWE is reportedly keen on getting the word out as soon as possible. So, please, for the love of God, stop asking for Mania in Vegas. Y'all will go broke before you even arrive. I am begging you. Vegas Mania is fine. Allegiant Stadium is nice when the system works. I don't know. I would rather they do Minneapolis for a multitude of reasons. But what do you think? Minneapolis or Vegas? Where would you rather watch a WrestleMania happen?
I don't care.
Aren't you a huge Raiders fan?
No, I don't care about the location of stuff. I just don't.
You should. You got to get your tickets now.
I understand. Like, look, they should probably announce it as soon as possible so people can like make plans and everything. But for someone who rarely travels to these shows, someone who I do not care. I'm sorry to everyone. For the people that do care, for the people that do want to make these plans. So I do think they should give as much heads up and as much notice as possible. For me, who is watching it all at his house and covering it all from home, it makes no difference to me. It really doesn't. So
I hope they move SummerSlam from Cleveland just for that.
Fine. That doesn't bother me. If they want to move it from Cleveland, okay. All that means is I'm going to save money on not having SummerSlam in Cleveland. It's cool that it's in Cleveland. I don't care.
All the money-making options you have, I'm going to take those away from you. No more 20,000 kids driving buses of talent to and from your house so that you can do interviews. We're not going to do it. We're not going to start a shuttle service for them.
That's not going to happen anyway. So
I mean, not with that attitude.
You're saving me money by doing all of this stuff, honestly.
We were going to charge people $5 a gander to do it.
And I would have ended up spending a whole lot more on just everything concerning WWE concession. I would have spent more on concessions than what I would have made. Yeah, wrestling not coming around here saves me money. Doesn't cost me anything. So I don't care. In fact, I make more when it's not here because I have to work. And when I work really hard, I get rewarded. So I make more money when it doesn't come here. So I do not care.
Wow, wrestling shill Jeremy Lambert.
No, I hate wrestling.
Working shill Jeremy Lambert.
That's fair.
We'll do that.
Yeah.
Drew McIntyre dropped the news. I mean,
He didn't drop it. The Rock
dropped the news. News was dropped because of Drew by The Rock. He has resigned with the company. And my favorite part of this whole conversation from Friday night, when The Rock dropped that Instagram, Sean tweeted out like, hey, we saw it. It's there. Reaching out to WWE for an official confirmation. And dorks on the internet just being like, it came from The Rock. That's as official as it gets. And it's like, well, no, because, there are people who can get that, done. So it's fine. There we go. Good timing. Cam comes back just in time for the show. Anyway, Drew McIntyre re-signs with WWE. I don't think that was a shock to many or any, if that matters. But good for him. I hope he got a huge. First of all, he got a huge sword out of the deal. That's worth its weight. But he also gets presumably a whole lot of money, big money deal, according to Fightful Select.
I like to think that Drew's been doing these negotiations with old Paul and everything. And Triple H is like, what do you want, Drew? Drew's like, I want this amount of money. So he talks to Nick Khan, get the money sorted. And he's like, what about creative? What about creative? And Drew's talking about all these ideas. Triple H, oh, we do that. Going back and forth. But like, Paul can't quite get him to commit. It's like, Drew, come on. I brought you back. NXT run. We've always got but he can't quite get him to commit. Triple H got to step out of the room. It's like, all right, well, let's just take a break from negotiations. Let's just stop. Let's put it on pause. And here comes The Rock, old big dick Dwayne, comes in slanging his cock around, sits down with Drew. He's like, Drew, I know what you want. Drew's like, yeah. Rock's got this fucking sword. It's like, this sword, Drew. This sword can be yours. All you got to do is resign. The creative, the money, you can get that anywhere. You can go anywhere and get this creative fulfillment, millions of dollars. This sword right here, this is the fucking Rock sword. This is the sword from goddamn Highlander right here. This is the sword that you want. Drew's like, fuck. You're right, Rock. You're right, Dwayne. I need that sword. Let's sign the deal. That's how it got done.
I love that this is how contract negotiations in WWE go. Cody, you won the title. Sign the contract. Here's your dad's watch. Drew, sign the deal. We'll give you the Mania moment. We got Clash at the Castle. You're going to be part of the big plan. CM Punk, the whole 9 yards. I don't know. Here's the sword from your hometown. Ah, shit. Here we go. Sign the deal. What are they going to do for Becky and Seth? Seth, we bought Black and Brave, and we'll sell it back to you if you sign the contract.
It's got to be.
We bought the entire city where you grow up, not your house, the entire town where you grew up. We bought it, and if you sign on the dotted line, it's yours.
No. I don't know what they get Seth. I don't know what maybe they get Seth just like some wardrobe shit. I don't know. Becky. This is going to pop like 2 people. Don't care. Becky. They get a piece of gum. They say, Becky, this is the gum from the road they used to scrape up with pennies. This gum, we'll give this back to you. Just sign the contract. Becky's like, shit. Reminds me of my childhood. All right, you got it. So she signs. She gets gum. Not just any gum, though. Gum from the roads of Ireland, scraped with pennies. That's what she gets. People might like hear that and be like, wow, that's very disrespectful to Becky. Listen to one of the greatest interviews, arguably the greatest interview of all time.
I got you. Hold on.
I am Anna from Fightful, and I'm here with superstar Becky Lynch. Hi, man. I love you.
Oh, thank you. I don't know you, but if we got to know each other, I think I could love you too. Maybe.
Anna comes with the deal as well, Becky. You get Anna if you just sign the deal.
She asked Becky about doing a shoey, and Becky's just like, yeah, that doesn't seem bad to me. Like, I used to do those all the time when I bartended in Ireland. And she's like, she literally says, used to scrape gum off the side of the road with a penny and then chew the gum. Insane.
Goat level shit right there.
Becky rules.
She does. Oh, Finn Balor also, he announced that he re-signed last week. We touched on that. What do you think they offered Finn? A new gimp mask.
Good on Drew re-signing, getting his money and his cash. Didn't think he was really going anywhere, but you never know. You never know with this stuff. We'll see how, can't really play the contract thing on television now. Maybe you can. I don't know. We'll see. I assume.
Was the Bears comments?
No.
Oh,
No.
Okay.
That was good. That's good.
If you resign, we'll buy the Bears.
No. Here's what's gonna fucking happen with Drew. He can get drafted tonight. Triple H is gonna steal this damn spotlight tonight. He's gonna be like, and Raw with the number 1 pick. This man just resigned. He just signed a new contract. Drew McIntyre. Triple H is gonna make this announcement on Raw. That's what's gonna happen.
And it's gonna bring out The Rock and be like, no, look what you did. This was my news, my exclusive. And it's gonna kick off Drew versus The Rock. Actually, I wouldn't hate that. Anyway, it's not. Listen, I'm glad that these people are getting money. I'm glad that they're getting paid, and I think that there is still stuff for Drew McIntyre to do in the WWE landscape, especially as he continues to kind of flesh out this character of his and the people that he can fight. Still, he can have gripes with just about anybody, and I like that. So I'm glad he's sticking around. It's going to be fun. We have anything else on the day? We got a Raw preview. It's just the draft and maybe a couple matches.
Bro, these people had a wedding, and the groom is Roman Reigns, and the bride is Paul Heyman.
Go on.
And they got Roman's theme going. The bride comes out carrying the 2 titles, and she hands them to the groom. The groom's got the Ulufala. Sorry if I said that wrong.
No, you got it right.
She hands the title to the groom, and he holds both the titles up, and the bride acknowledges her tribal chief. All the people in the audience, and not everyone is acknowledging the tribal group. This is amazing.
I have to watch this.
I'll send it to you. I'm about to write an article on this dumb shit.
Amazing. Tonight.
Oh, he's good. He hits it perfectly. Right when the beat hits on Roman's theme, he holds both the titles up. He's good. He studied it.
Wrestling fan weddings can be fun. Someone did. There was a Chelsea Green fan who came out and did her entrance, and she was with her now husband. It was the couple introduction. And what was really interesting was that everyone got on this guy because he was holding up a title belt, but everyone thought it was upside down or inside. They was holding it backwards. And it turned out that was actually their guest book. Everyone had signed basically a strap without any plates on it. And it was just all the people signing the guest book. I thought that was really cool. I also, in the moment, I was like, is he holding it backwards? But no, someone made fun of it, which is stupid. And then the bride was like, no, this is actually what it looked like. I thought that was pretty neat. So listen, man, wrestling fans getting married to wrestling fans, as long as it's not weird, some of this stuff is really funny to watch in like the cutest way possible. Good on those people. Live your best life. Don't be weird.
Rules.
Have a full-on wrestling-themed wedding. Kenny Omega's coming to my wedding. He doesn't know it yet, but he'll be there. I'll tell him on his next Twitch stream. Anything else? Logan Paul is going to be on Raw. Judgment Day is going to take on Jey Uso, Andrade, and Ricochet, and the draft. That's all that's going on. Hooray.
Sure.
Why not?
Yeah, they're going to do the draft. It's fine.
Roxanne Perez is going to get drafted in the 3rd round to SmackDown.
Maybe.
We'll talk about it on Wednesday, plus a whole lot of other stuff. We're back here at 10 a.m. Eastern. Jeremy Lambert, anything to add before we head on out?
Oklahoma City Thunder going for the sweep tonight against the New Orleans Pelicans. That's at 8:30. That's what I'll be watching. Don't give a shit about this wrestling stuff. I'll be watching the Thunder and the Pelicans. Oh, Joel, I'm going to tell the story real quickly. Bless my lovely wife. She tried to sleep during the Avs game yesterday.
Can't do
Can you
that.
believe this?
You can't do that.
So the 12 kids aren't like fully used to play off me because they were younger before and they were all in and out and everything. And the games are always on at night. So yesterday I'm watching the game and we scored first. I'm like, let's go. And the kids is like, is Jeremy okay? Is everything good?
That's a long and nuanced answer for another time.
Fair. The wife was like, it's fine. That was a good let's go. She knows my emotions. She's like, that was a good let's go. So the GOAT, Cale Makar, best defenseman in the league. I don't care what anybody else says. Cale Makar does all his Cale Makar shit. Scores. And I'm going crazy. I'm like, let's fucking go, Cale. Yeah. The kids are like, Mom is trying to sleep. And I'm like, she knows better. Shouldn't do that. Should not try to sleep in the middle of the Avs game. Bless my lovely wife. Can't sleep during the Avs game. Cale Makar, the GOAT, baby. 3-1 against the Jets. Thunder going for the sweep tonight. That's all I care about. Who cares about wrestling? Everyone watch MILF Manor. That's all.
There it is. We're back Wednesday, 10 a.m. Eastern. Fightful Overbooked. If you haven't already, leave a thumbs up on the video. And of course, subscribe to us here on the channel. We got plenty of stuff, tons of stuff, plenty of stuff, tons of stuff. I said the same word at the same time and it came out as plons of stuff. Till then, I'm Joel Pearl. JWLPARL, ladies and gentlemen, friends beyond the binary.